Hey, Cinephile Mike here, and it is day 36 of Oscar Rewind, my series of video commentary that reflect the work of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. I've been digging deep into those IMDb profiles, and my hope is that you will discover a new, older favorite or revisit something you haven't seen in a while. As always, I'll be discussing the recent Oscar connection, the awards history for the film, box office information, critical response, and as always, these reviews are spoiler free. Before we jump in, do me a favor, click that subscribe button because you don't want to miss any of the action I'm talking about this season. And with that, we are talking about the nominated writers. So today I'm looking at Columbia Pictures' 1993 Oscar-nominated film, The Age of Innocence. Co-written by the film's director Martin Scorsese and Jay Cox, the film was based on both the 1920 Edith Wharton novel and 1928 play by Margaret Ayer Barnes of the same name. Released in the fall of 1993, domestically only, and by the end of its theatrical run, the film made $32,255,444, which would have made up its worldwide take. But there was a small international re-release in New Zealand just recently in 2023 where it made an additional $513. So the film actually has a current worldwide take of $32,255,953. Critically, the film was well received. It has a critical response of 88% from 64 reviews and a fresh popcorn meter of 75% culled from over 10,000 audience reviews as of this recording. Award season-wise, The Age of Innocence capped off its awards run with 5 Oscar nominations: Best Supporting Actress for Winona Ryder, Best Original Score, Best Art Direction, Set Decoration, and Best Adapted Screenplay, with the 5th one being the film's sole win with Costume Design. And, it's worth it, and I'm going to talk about that shortly. Aside from the Oscars, the film had several other nods and wins, and interestingly, depending on where, a wide net was cast. Normally we see the same actor or director nominated everywhere, or the same designer. It was widespread. The one constant was Ryder, so at the BAFTAs, Ryder was nominated again, but she actually lost to her co-star Miriam Margolyes, who won Supporting Actress. And where it wasn't nominated at the Oscars, here it was nominated for cinematography and production design. At the Golden Globes, Ryder did win the Golden Globe for supporting performance, but here it was nominated for Best Motion Picture Drama, Best Director for Scorsese, and Best Actress, Lead Actress in a Drama for Michelle Pfeiffer. And the last I will highlight amongst all of the accolades were 3 wins by the National Board of Review. They named Scorsese Best Director, they named it one of the top 10 films of that year, and Winona Ryder was the Best Supporting Actress by the National Board of Review. So we're in Writers Month. Now, there was no Scorsese film running in the past year, but for Jay Cox, there was. He received his first ever Oscar nod for The Age of Innocence, and this past year, he earned his 3rd, sharing the Best Adapted Screenplay nod with James Mangold for the biopic A Complete Unknown. He also has a nomination under his belt for being part of the original screenplay team for another Scorsese flick, Gangs of New York, alongside Steven Zaillian and Kenneth Lonergan. So, let's step back into the New York society of the late 19th century. For anyone who's seen, an episode of Gossip Girl, you can almost see its parallels. I even remember there was an episode of Gossip Girl, yes, I watched it, don't hate me, called The Age of Dissonance, where the students at the school staged this play and saw their parallels, and I couldn't help but see it. In the 1870s, apparently not much change from what it's like now. The most affluent families in New York rule everything, and 2 of them are about to become joined together in matrimony. We have gentlemanly lawyer Newland Archer, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, who is planning his very, very expected societal marriage to Mae Welland, played by Winona Ryder. Now, when preparing to announce this, an unexpected guest, a friend from Archer's past, one Countess Ellen Olenska, also Mae's cousin, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, has returned to New York after a scandalous separation from her husband, a Polish aristocrat. See, he cheated on her, and in response, she cheated on him, but Given the wonderful double standards, tragically still not too far from what we have today, she is the one who kind of feels shuns and runs to get a new start, consider her options. Archer, believing this to be wrong, does what he can to correct the reputation she has. And while he is behaving the way he believes he should, pursuing his marriage to May, doing the right thing in society, there's something about this non-traditional nature of Ellen that excites him, and he starts to have feelings for her. Now, the two women in his life could not be more different. May promises, the life that he is expected to have. Attending social functions. She makes the home. She goes about her day, going to lunches and excursions with her mother, Mrs. Welland, played by Geraldine Chaplin, and her grandmother, Mrs. Mingot, a very delightful Miriam Margolyes. And yet Ellen displays a certain disdain for the expected and just wants her fresh start, even if that means taking certain actions that are not going to be well received and having to really question her own wants and desires. And through a series of events, Archer and Ellen begin to get close, but the temptation between them gets tested. Archer cares for her, but doesn't want to do what's wrong. Ellen returns his affection, but can't stand to be in a three-way relationship again. And all of this, kind of comes to a head under the close watch of society, where, things that appear unseen are, actually seen more than they think. And intention means little as actions. Look, here's the thing. When I noticed, and I noticed this a while ago, when I saw that this is a Martin Scorsese film, I'm like, that's a departure. He's not known for PG films. We're used to the harsh R-rated fare. And yet, this is right in his oeuvre of storytelling. If you look at his early works, like Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, and more recent films like Wolf of Wall Street, Killers of the Flower Moon, he is, in many of these projects, fascinated by class structure amongst different societies, and The Age of Innocence leans right into that. But here, he's crafted it as a sweeping romance, kind of set at the turn of the century, and, find ways to incite more excitement in small, intimate moments, like removing someone's glove to kiss them on the hand, than some of the more intense scenes we've seen in a few of his films. He captures the essence of the time perfectly, and aiding to this is a powerful cast. You have Day-Lewis, Pfeiffer, Ryder. They're all great. Day-Lewis is a little more rigid, but it kind of works for this character. But Pfeiffer and Ryder imbue their characters with all the class and grace that befits, women of the time. And so it's interesting to see their two different complexions, their hair colors, and these two different views of society, back and forth. And what aided to all of this really cleverly is Joanne Woodward narrates the bulk of the first part of the film and kind of pops up throughout. And Scorsese uses that to give us all the information dumps instead of long dialogue-based scenes. So while we're watching actions of certain characters, we hear Joanne Woodward telling us who's who, what they do, which helps make the story move along. And as certain secrets are revealed throughout, Michael Ballhaus's stunning cinematography really captures subtle glances and tender embraces that just add to the passion of the story. Edited by Scorsese's frequent collaborator, Thelma Schoonmaker, the action moves briskly over the course of about 130 minutes. These are the types of lush period pieces that awards season crowds love, and, we continue to embrace, even in some of our television shows, I know, or films, right? Everyone's getting ready for the next Downton Abbey film. And, what also works with the performances are every design element, matches great. From Dante Ferretti's production design to Speed Hopkins' art direction to Gabrielle Piscucci's Oscar-winning costumes. And they're so... words can't describe. They're just absolute perfection. All these design elements transport you right to the time we're supposed to be in. Visually stunning. Every frame of the film is wonderful to look at. And with these performances, this is a piece of Scorsese's work that might not be as remembered as other ones, but probably should be. Scorsese and Cox have crafted a tight script where they allow us to watch the key action, we get the information we need, and everything works and everything moves. For me, The Age of Innocence is a really powerful, strong, well-made 4-star film, If you haven't seen this one, and I don't want to assume people have, because even though there's a lot of pedigree behind it, even I didn't get to it until recently as part of this rewatch. And fortunately for now, if you want to catch this one, you can find it streaming on Netflix. All right. So far this week, we've had a thriller and a drama. So to wrap up this week, we're going to go a little lighter, and we're going to go Disney. Huh? As always, if you like what you heard here, please click that button, subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, spread the word. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd, and find lots of great additional content on my website, cinephilemike.com. All right, happy watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.